You guys
Finally, somebody wants to know what I think. Where y'all been? I've been lonely.
Governor, when do you expect to make some rulings on the clemency applications? You have 1,200 of them on your desk.
I've been working through them. I've been spending hours and hours and hours. I spent about 3 hours this morning working on them. So I will be making some of those decisions public fairly soon. Not all of them, because it's going to take me some additional time to work through all of them. But probably relatively soon, the clemency applications for a number will be made public. But it's going to take me, a few more weeks to work through all of them.
Do you expect to have an announcement on a first batch in the next couple days? And when you say fairly soon,
Well, I don't know if it'll be within the next couple of days. I'd say it would be within the next week or so. Yeah.
Okay.
Governor, when do you intend to make a decision on the Supreme Court vacancy?
When there's a vacancy. No. There will not be a vacancy, as you know, until the first of the year, and so I've got some time to reach a conclusion there. But it's something that I'm spending some time, thinking about.
You intend to fill that appointment then yourself? I know.
Absolutely, I intend to fill that appointment. Why would I not?
What do you think of the plans by the Senate to, at least in some cases, not confirm your appointments?
Well, I find it disappointing because I think the appointments that I have made and will make will be based upon the thoughtful consideration of the qualifications of the individuals that I've appointed. If they choose to reject some of those, I think they have an obligation to state very clearly why they found that particular individual to be unacceptable. They are breaking with precedent. I'm not the one that made the decision that the Senate would not be in session for 5 or more months. And so the only thing I'm doing is carrying out my responsibilities. I was elected to a 4-year term. My term ends on January the 9th. So I think I have a responsibility to continue to carry out my duties as governor until I'm no longer the governor. And I don't say that, to be argumentative. I just think that is consistent with precedent. I certainly honored the nominations that were made by my predecessor. And as has been pointed out, even when some of those nominees to the PUCO were technically in violation, rather than try to use that as an excuse to choose my own individuals for those positions, I felt like it was appropriate to go ahead and honor what the previous governor had intended. And so I didn't look for some excuse to alter what Governor Taft had done. I don't want this to be politicized. It ought not to be politicized. The people that I've chosen for these positions, I've chosen them because I felt like they were good citizens of our state and were competent and capable of carrying out the responsibilities. And so the least I think that I should expect from the Senate, if they choose to reject one or more of these nominees, is to fully explain why and to do so in a very public way, so that the public would have a full understanding of why they made whatever decision it is that they may make.
Governor, is there any specific legislation that you would hope would reach your desk before the end of the session?
Well, I would love to see the criminal justice legislation dealt with. I have supported that for many months. I think it could be of help to the incoming administration, quite frankly, because the pressure on the budget is severe, coming from the operation of our prisons. And here again, I think this ought not to be a political issue. I think it ought to be an issue that is decided based upon what's right for the state and what's right for the public. And there is bipartisan support for it, maybe not unanimous support for it, but there is certainly bipartisan support. Senator Sykes is the leading legislator that's pursuing this. I've told him directly that I admire his leadership on this issue, and I would like to see that completed. I don't know if it will be, because I'm hearing nothing that would cause me to think that that's likely to be pursued. But I think it would be helpful and good for the state if it was.
How about the human trafficking bill?
Well, why not? Who could possibly be against that legislation? So that's also a bill that I think should garner strong bipartisan support. But I'm not the one that will make those decisions.
Back to the clemency thing, do you expect do you have a ballpark number that you hope to get through out of the 1,200?
I hope to get through all of them.
Make a decision on all 1,200?
Yes.
Interesting. Okay.
Some of them are less complicated than others. I mean, there are some that just speaking candidly, probably are not good candidates for extensive consideration. There are others that are, more complex and more complicated and require, much more research and much more time in reaching a decision.
Are you familiar with Roger Dean Gillespie's case in Dayton? The Dayton Daily editorialized on him on Sunday.
Yeah, I haven't read the editorial. I've heard about it, but one of the things that I think sometimes is misunderstood, and that is that I have, the authority to grant commutations or clemency, but only after the parole board has evaluated the case and made a recommendation. I am not obligated to follow that recommendation, but that process has to be observed before I can even consider whether or not clemency or commutation would be merited.
Do you have the authority to ask the parole board to expedite any ones that are pending?
Well, I guess I could ask the parole board to do. I mean, there's no reason why I couldn't. I don't know that the parole board would be obligated to particularly honor that request.
Is that something that governors typically do?
I don't know. You mean in terms of asking the parole board for expedited decision? I don't know. That's not something that I could probably find that out. But
Governor, why push ahead on the 3C rail study when your governor-elect says it's a dead project? Is that a waste of taxpayer money to do that?
Well, I would hope the governor-elect would find a way to change his mind. I am absolutely convinced that this is the right thing for Ohio's future. We're talking about nearly $400 million being returned and going to some other state that will use those resources to create jobs and to create vital infrastructure. There's a reason why other states are stepping forth and asking for it. New York, Illinois, Michigan, these other states, some of them, quite frankly, with Republican governor-elects in charge, understand that those resources are going to be spent, those tax dollars are going to be spent for rail. And if they're not spent in Ohio, they will be spent in Michigan or Illinois or New York or some other state. They will be used to create jobs in that state. Ohio will be deprived of this vital infrastructure. Ohio will be deprived of these and the jobs that they will create. I just simply do not understand why a decision would be made to take these resources and give them to another state. So why am I pushing forward? Because I'm the governor of Ohio until the 9th of January, while I'm the governor, I'm obligated to do what I think is right for the state of Ohio. I also believe that the study can provide vital information, and perhaps it could provide information that that the governor-elect would find compelling or convincing. I don't understand why we should fear data and information, and so that's why I'm pressing forward. I just think it's the right thing to do, and you know, I'm not doing that to be, you know, some way trying to obstruct or interfere with the decision making of the next governor. But I am doing it because I do feel strongly about the fact that as long as I'm governor, I'm obligated to do what I think is right for the state of Ohio.
We need to go, but thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Governor.
Thanks, Governor.